This show is part of One Place, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Today, we're following the desperate search for Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, as investigators track a trail of DNA and a specific Walmart backpack. A mother of 7 is found dead on her neighbor's doorstep in Arizona, with an agent from the Attorney General's office under investigation. A father and daughter's trip to buy a PlayStation 5 ends in a double homicide in Mississippi. A Michigan toddler survives 2 days trapped in a locked, impounded car after a series of police oversights. Chilling court testimony reveals the final moments of 5-year-old Michael Vaughn, involving duct tape and a duffel bag. A California man receives a life sentence after running a red light at 80 miles per hour and fleeing the scene of a fatal crash. A Louisiana mother faces charges after allegedly trying to abandon her 8-year-old son at a cemetery and a laundromat. An Oregon man is accused of a brutal murder just months after posting on Facebook about vibing following his release from prison. A Florida man is indicted for a persistent plot to assassinate Donald Trump, claiming he wanted to be the one to pull the plug. And we take a deep look at the high-tech tools, like signal sniffers for pacemakers, being used in the Nancy Guthrie investigation.
Starting with a case that has captured national attention, the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie.
It has been a harrowing 2 weeks for Today Show co-host Savannah Guthrie and her family. Her mother, Nancy, was last seen on Saturday night, January 31st, after having dinner with her daughter Annie. Her son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni, dropped her off at her Tucson home around 9:48 p.m. and waited until she was safely inside. But by the next morning, when Nancy didn't show up for church, her family knew something was wrong. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos says it appears she was abducted from her home in the middle of the night. The evidence is chilling. Her pacemaker app showed a disconnect at 2:28 a.m., and blood was found both inside and outside the home.
The investigation has taken several turns, including a ransom note demanding payment in Bitcoin. Savannah and her siblings even released an emotional video pleading with whoever has her to reach out, emphasizing that Nancy is in constant pain and needs daily medication to survive. President Trump has even weighed in, directing federal resources to assist. Despite a $100,000 reward and a brief detention of a person of interest who was later released, Nancy's location remains unknown. The sheriff's department has cleared the Guthrie family of any involvement, calling them victims in a cruel situation. As the search enters its 3rd week, the community is on high alert for any sign of the 5'5" woman with brown hair and blue eyes.
In a tragic turn of events in the Southwest, a community in Mesa is reeling from a shooting involving a state official.
32-year-old Maria Lewis, a mother of 7 children, was found dead on her neighbor's doorstep in the early hours of February 28th. Her husband, Albert Mendivel, was inside their home with the kids when he saw police lights through the window. He ran outside only to be pulled back by officers as he realized his wife had been shot. The Mesa Police Department has confirmed that 47-year-old Dulance Morin, an agent with the Arizona Attorney General's office, was involved in the shooting. Morin has been with the AG's office since 2016 and has now been placed on administrative leave.
The details of what led to the confrontation are still murky. Mendeville says investigators told him there was an altercation, but the neighbor allegedly claimed the shooting was an accident. The family is now calling for murder charges to be filed. It's a devastating situation for those 7 children, the oldest of whom is only 12. The Attorney General's office says they are fully cooperating with the Mesa PD investigation. But for now, no arrests have been made. Maria's husband describes her as a great person and says he is simply lost for words as he tries to navigate life as a widower with 7 young kids.
Turning now to a cautionary tale about online transactions that ended in a double homicide.
Victor Gonzalez, who was 42, and his 19-year-old daughter Serenity left their home in Memphis on February 28th to meet someone they found on Facebook Marketplace. They were heading to Sardis, Mississippi, about 50 miles south, to buy a PlayStation 5. They never came back. On Sunday morning, deputies found their van on a remote gravel road. It looked like a car crash at first, but inside, they found both Victor and Serenity dead from multiple gunshot wounds. Victor's son, Jesse Waterman, believes his father and sister were the victims of a setup.
Jesse pointed out that tracks in the mud suggested they were trying to flee the scene when they were attacked. While law enforcement hasn't officially confirmed the Facebook Marketplace link, the family is adamant that the transaction was the reason for the trip. It's a stark reminder of the dangers inherent in meeting strangers for high-value items. The Panola County Sheriff's Office is still investigating the timeline, believing the murders happened between February 28th and March 1st. They are asking anyone with information to come forward, as they try to piece together who lured this father and daughter to that remote road.
In Michigan, a miracle recovery has sparked a heated debate over police procedure and a father's responsibility.
A 13-month-old boy is recovering in the hospital after spending nearly 2 days trapped inside a locked, impounded car at a tow lot in East Point. His father, Orlander Linson Jr., is now facing second-degree child abuse charges. The ordeal began last Thursday night when Linson allegedly left the toddler in an illegally parked car in Harper Woods. The car was towed the next day, but it wasn't until Saturday afternoon that the child was discovered by police, crying and pinned between a car seat and the door. The child's mother had reported him missing, which finally led detectives to the tow yard.
The big question here is how the child was missed. Harper Woods Police Chief Jason Hammerell says the officer who impounded the car did a visual inspection but didn't see the boy. He defended the officer, saying they don't have lockout tools and aren't supposed to damage locked vehicles for a routine impound. However, retired Detroit Assistant Police Chief Steve Dollant isn't buying it. He says they dropped the ball and that tow yards always have ways to get into cars. Linson is currently being held on a $100,000 bond, with prosecutors noting he has 10 active warrants and no permanent address. Thankfully, the toddler is expected to be okay and is currently in the custody of Child Protective Services.
We have a disturbing update from an Idaho courtroom today regarding a missing child case from 2021.
The preliminary hearing for Stacy Wandra has revealed horrific details about the disappearance of 5-year-old Michael Vaughn. During a police interview played in court, Stacy claimed his wife, Sarah, was the one who abducted the boy after seeing him outside their home. He told detectives he suggested calling the authorities, but instead, he went into the bedroom. From there, he says he heard the sound of duct tape being unrolled and the little boy screaming, "I want my mommy." It's a gut-wrenching detail that has left the community in shock.
Stacy Wandra further alleged that his wife and their roommates planned to sell the child because they were struggling for money. He claimed the last time he saw Michael, the boy was being placed in a duffel bag between layers of clothing. The defendant actually became physically ill and vomited during the interview as he recounted these events. Despite these detailed admissions about the abduction, Michael's body has never been found. Stacy Wandra is facing multiple charges, including murder and kidnapping, as the legal process continues to unfold in Payette County.
Moving to California, where a judge has handed down a maximum sentence for a truly selfish act.
Shane Shahan has been sentenced to 19 years to life for the 2230 crash that killed 35-year-old Jesse Espino. Shahan was driving drunk and high on marijuana when he blew through a red light in Fresno at nearly 80 miles per hour. His truck collided with a Hyundai Elantra, and the impact was devastating. But what really sealed his fate was what happened next. Surveillance video showed Shahan climbing out of his flip truck, looking back at the wreckage where Espino was dying, and then simply running away. He didn't call 911, even though he had his cell phone on him.
When police caught him in a nearby neighborhood, he was sweating and smelling of alcohol, telling officers he was scared. The judge at his sentencing was blunt, calling it a series of multiple bad decisions and selfish decisions. This wasn't Shahan's first time either. He had 2 previous DUI convictions and was actually on probation for one of them when he killed Jesse. Jesse's sister, Crystal, told the court that her family is not the same anymore, and his father spoke of the haunting image of saying goodbye to his son on a hospital table. It took the jury less than an hour to convict Shahan of second-degree murder.
In Louisiana, a mother's repeated attempts to leave her child have led to her arrest and a community's disbelief.
43-year-old Jeanette Edmonds is facing charges of cruelty to juveniles and child desertion. Police in Ponchatoula say she tried to ditch her 8-year-old son at least 3 times in a single day. First, she allegedly tried to leave him at a cemetery, but the boy managed to get back into the car. Then she tried a nearby farm. Finally, she dropped him off at a laundromat and drove away. Witnesses saw her leave and called the police, who took the boy in, fed him McDonald's, and let him watch cartoons while they searched for his mother.
Edmonds was eventually found 60 miles away in Harvey. Shockingly, police say she never asked if her son was okay and never gave a clear reason for why she was trying to abandon him. Whether it was out of frustration or some form of punishment, the authorities are treating it as a serious crime. The boy is reportedly doing fine now, but Edmonds remains in jail without bond. It's one of those cases that leaves you wondering what could drive a parent to such an extreme and heartless series of actions.
A chilling letter has surfaced in an Oregon murder investigation involving a man who had only recently been released from prison.
Reggie Townsend, 34, is back behind bars, charged with the murder of an unhoused man named Colton Esparza. This comes just months after Townsend posted on Facebook, "I'm fresh out of prison, and I'm vibing." But that vibe turned violent. Esparza's body was found nude, bound with rope, and severely beaten inside a vacant residence in Klamath County. The evidence against Townsend includes a letter he wrote to his girlfriend where he allegedly boasted, "I beat Colton with a rock and stomped him out with my shoes."
Townsend's sister, Jamie Harrington, has also been charged. She allegedly confessed to driving Townsend and Esparza to the trailhead where the killing occurred. She told police she saw the man walk away and then picked up her brother 10 minutes later, while Esparza was left behind. Townsend, a convicted felon who was also found with a rifle, is now facing charges of first-degree murder, kidnapping, and tampering with evidence. It's a brutal case that highlights the vulnerability of the unhoused community and the failures of the rehabilitation system for violent offenders.
Shifting to a matter of national security and federal threats out of Florida.
Marcus Edward Hamlet, a 46-year-old veteran of both the Marine Corps and the Air Force, has been indicted for threatening the life of Donald Trump. According to federal prosecutors, Hamlet sent a barrage of emails to news outlets and government officials stating his public intent to murder the former president. In one message, he allegedly wrote, "I'll be the one to pull the plug." This wasn't a one-time outburst. Hamlet had been sending these threats for over a year, apparently trying to get himself arrested. He even called 910 in California back in 2005 to announce his great plan to assassinate Trump.
When Secret Service agents finally interviewed him at a mental health facility in Pensacola, Hamlet told them he had been waiting a long time to speak with them. He even sent an email to the CIA's website giving a 5-day deadline for his demands to be met. While his defense may point to mental health struggles, the federal government is taking the persistent nature of these threats very seriously. Jury selection for his trial is set to begin in April. It's a sobering look at how the Secret Service has to track and manage individuals who fixate on high-profile political figures.
Finally, we're looking closer at the forensic technology and specific clues being used in the ongoing Nancy Guthrie search.
The technical side of the Nancy Guthrie investigation is fascinating and highly specialized. Because Nancy wore a pacemaker, investigators have deployed a signal sniffer. This is a device mounted on a low-flying helicopter that can detect the specific low-power electronic signals emitted by a pacemaker, potentially pinpointing her location even if she is hidden. They are also focusing heavily on a black, 25-liter Ozark Trail Hiker Pack backpack seen on the suspect in doorbell footage. That specific model is sold exclusively at Walmart, and the company has handed over records of every single purchase of that bag from the last few months.
Forensics have also been a bit of a roller coaster. Investigators found a black glove about 2 miles from the home that seemed to match the ones worn by the suspect. They even found a male DNA profile on it. However, after a frantic few days of testing, it turned out the glove belonged to a local restaurant worker with no connection to the case. It's a reminder of how difficult these investigations can be, sorting through noise to find the one tip that matters. The FBI is still analyzing other DNA found at the scene, hoping for a match in the National CODIS database. As they wait for those results, the search on the ground continues, focusing on the perimeter of the Guthrie property and beyond.
That covers our briefing for today. We'll continue to monitor these developments as they unfold.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with another update on the stories that matter most. Stay safe out